In the last video, I beat my favorite Gen 1 Pokemon game using only my favorite Gen 1 Pokemon. And this? Well, this is the sequel to that video. In this video, I will be beating my favorite Gen 2 game using my favorite Gen 2 Pokemon. Now everybody knows that Generation 2 of Pokemon was supposed to be the end of Pokemon, until it became the highest grossing media franchise of all time, and the game series that we know and love continues to this very day. As in the last video, I sat down and figured out my favorite Gen 2 game, which honestly I really didn't have to think too hard about it, because it's Crystal. It was Crystal. It's Crystal by a long shot. No, what was harder yet again was figuring out my favorite 6 Pokemon that were introduced in this generation. You see, Generation 2 introduced 100 new Pokemon into the game. This includes 51 brand new evolution lines, but it also includes quite a few pre-evolutions, split path evolutions, and new stage evolutions for already existing Pokemon. I decided here that any pre-evolutions are off the table because, well, when they evolve, they are Pokemon from Generation 1, already existing Pokemon. However, in instances of branching path evolutions or a new stage evolution, those were okay to be used in this challenge. Thus, I sat down and I figured out my 6 favorite Pokemon. And like always, when they become available to me, that is when I will introduce them to you. We start off our journey by speaking with our mom. We then head immediately over to Professor Elm's lab, and like last time, this is where we meet my first favorite Pokemon in this generation. Our starter Pokemon, once again. While both Cyndaquil and Totodile are Pokemon that I like, they are not my favorite starters in these games. No, my favorite Pokemon yet again goes to the Grass-type starter, Chikorita. She will later evolve into Meganium. Now, I'm not entirely sure why I like Chikorita so much, but to this day, this little grass starter holds a special place in my heart. I go ahead and nickname our first partner Rita, and our journey officially begins. Professor Elm has tasked us with finding someone by the name of Mr. Pokemon, because I guess quite a discovery has been made. It's a little annoying that we're already getting sidetracked from our true goal, securing and beating the game with my favorite Pokemon, but if this is what I must do to complete my goal, then so be it. We go ahead and find this Mr. Pokemon's house where he hands us a mystery egg. We also run into a familiar face, Professor Oak. Now, I bet he is glad that this protagonist has a Pokemon this time, and he doesn't have to worry about us meeting certain doom when stepping into the tall grass. Professor Oak gives us a Pokedex, and we are sent hastily back to Professor Elm. However, as we are passing through Cherry Grove City, we run into our rival. You see, he has just stolen a Pokemon from Professor Elm, the Cyndaquil. Now, he must have really liked Cyndaquil if he was willing to become a criminal for it. We beat our rival and proceed to rat him out to the police. Hopefully, we won't have to see him again anytime soon. Professor Elm thanks us for bringing him the egg, and his aid provides us with our first Pokeballs. It is now time to catch some of my favorite Pokemon. There are only a couple available right now, so let's go ahead and see who they are. We head over to the Dark Cave, and I'm surprised when I can't see anything. Who would have thought? After stumbling around the dark, we run into our second Pokemon we will be calling partner, a Zubat. But not for Zubat. No, I actually quite dislike both Zubat and Golbat. The only redeeming feature in my eyes about this evolution line is the final evolution, which was introduced in Generation 2, Crobat. Crobat is an insanely cool Pokemon. I have always liked this guy from the moment I set eyes on it. It also helps that in my first playthrough of Pokemon Legends Arceus, I found a shiny Zubat, and it eventually became a Crobat, and it was a great help in the end of the game. It helped me beat the game. We go ahead and nickname our Zubat Tacky and continue onward. My next favorite Pokemon is also in this cave, but it only spawns at a certain time of day, with a 5% chance to spawn. So I set my time to morning and begin my search. After searching for about 25 minutes, I finally find it. Teddiursa. I try to weaken it with Zubat, but Zubat only knows Leech Life. Now in current generation, Leech Life is actually a pretty good move. However, back in Generation 2, it was absolutely abysmal. It only has a base power of 20, so after seeing the pitiful damage, I threw a Pokeball and Teddiursa fled. After 25 minutes, this bear fled. I didn't know that Pokemon outside of places like the Safari Zone could flee. I was pissed. Alright. It took another 20 minutes until another Teddiursa appeared. I was either unlucky the first time or got super lucky this time, because after attacking it 4 turns in a row, it didn't flee. And I was finally able to catch this Teddiursa, which calmed me down quite a bit. Teddiursa and its evolution Ursaring are Pokemon I really like. The Generation 2 sprite of Teddiursa is also just so adorable. It's like licking the honey off of its hands. I don't have any other real reason for why it's my favorite. It just is. I nicknamed her Ursa, and we set off once again. Next, we need to head down to Route 32 to continue finding my favorite Pokemon. Huh? Wait a second. This guy won't let me continue. He wants me to beat the gym leader? Well, I guess in order to continue catching my favorite Pokemon, we need to take on the gym in Violet City. So, with a new side quest at hand, we enter the gym hellbent on taking down the gym leader, who is preventing me from catching my favorite Pokemon. We are armed with Rita the Chikorita, Tacky the Zubat, and Ursa the Teddiursa. Let's do this. Teddiursa easily takes out Falkner's first Pokemon. A couple of scratches do the trick. Falkner sends in his level 9 Pidgeotto. Somehow this seems unfair. We leer it once to lower its defense, and then proceed to scratch it, which actually does sizable damage. Unfortunately, in this scenario, the bird beat the bear. With only Rita and Tacky left, things aren't looking too good. Rita is the first to try her hand at the fight. After getting a couple of tackles off, it weakens Pidgeotto even more. However, she also faints. It is now up to Tacky, and she only knows Leech Life and Supersonic. So I decided to tank a single hit in order to get Supersonic off. With only hopes and dreams, I click Leech Life just in case it breaks through confusion. But to my absolute joy, he hits himself in confusion, and Tacky stands the victor. With that, Gym 1 has been conquered. It is now time to continue collecting my favorites. Now here's where I messed up. The next Pokemon I wanted to get was Mareep for Ampharos, just because I really like Ampharos. But I was surprised to learn that Mareep, nor its whole evolution line, is available in Crystal. It's not available in Crystal. It is only available in Gold and Silver. So, here I was at a crossroad. Do I spawn Mareep in? Or do I try and find a substitute favorite? I decided that since I chose Crystal as my favorite game, I had to live with my decision. I wouldn't be able to use Mareep. So, it was back to the drawing board to find a replacement. Looking through the list, most of the Pokemon I liked were not available until after I beat the game, which would defeat the purpose of beating the game using my favorites. Pokemon like Misdreavus, Larvitar, those are both Pokemon I really like, but they are also locked behind Mount Silver. I could go back and catch a Sentret, but, then I would lose my challenge because I already beat the first gym, and Sentret was available prior to the first gym. So, I came up with 2 possible solutions, but I will explain those a little bit later when they come up. So with that sad news out of the way, we make our way through Sprout Tower. At the top of the tower, I found our rival, who had just beaten an old man. It sucks we had to see him again, our rival that is, but at least we didn't have to interact with him. Without giving the man any time to rest, we too challenge him to a fight and easily beat him. After the battle, he rewards us with the HM for Flash, and we descend the tower and head towards Azalea Town. Upon entering the town, we notice men dressed in black standing around the town, including blocking the door to the gym. After asking around, we learn that they are members of Team Rocket, the same group we helped disband in the previous episode. We also learn that they are cutting off the Slowpoke tails and selling them. These guys just became public enemy number 1. But not because of what they are doing to Slowpoke, but instead for them committing the cardinal sin of preventing me from getting my favorite Pokemon. So after knocking some sense into the members of Team Rocket located in the well, we take on Bugsy. Oh, while we were taking on Team Rocket, Rita evolved into Bayleaf. We start the fight with Taki, who faces off against Metapod. A few bites is all that is needed for Zubat to take Metapod down. Bugsy sends in Kakuna. We go ahead and swap over to Ursa, and a few cuts take Kakuna down. All that's left is Bugsy's ace, Scyther. A Pokemon with a base stat total of 500, compared to our highest of 405 with Rita. Ursa and Taki have even less with 330 and 245 respectively. This is going to be an uphill battle. We get hit with the Fury Cutter as we poison Scyther. Another Fury Cutter hits as I set up Reflect. We swap to Taki in an attempt to confuse Scyther, but after missing 3 Supersonics, Taki goes down. Ursa comes back into a low health enemy. Even though we missed 3 Supersonics, the poison was ticking down. Ursa comes in and with a cut, takes down the gym leader. After beating Bugsy, we run into our rival as we try and leave town, but yet again, he is no match for us. I really hope we don't have to see him again. We help round up the Charcoal Man's Farfetch'd, and in return, he gives us the HM for Cut. Now, for those of you who are paying attention and asking yourselves, wait a second, didn't you use Cut in the gym battle? Yes, I did. I did things out of order, but it makes more sense this way in the script, so shut up. On our way to Goldenrod City, we stop by the daycare people to pick up the odd egg, and unfortunately, it wasn't a shiny. Anyway, we pick up the bike from the bike shop, talk to this girl about a weird tree, and then finally head to take on Whitney. Whitney has been known to be one of the hardest fights in Generation 2, so we need to be careful. Whitney leads off with Clefairy. We start with Rita. After a couple of Razor Leaf attacks, Clefairy goes down. But the battle is just starting. It is now time for yet another uphill battle. Whitney sends in her dreaded Milk Tank. Or, it normally is dreaded. You see, every single Pokemon I have on my team has ended up being female. So normally, where Attract would be annoying, it is a non-factor in this fight. We poison the Milk Tank to help whittle down her HP, but not before taking a stomp. We flinch a few times to stomp, and eventually Rita goes down. Taki comes in and is able to get Supersonic off. With a crit, we bring Milk Tank low. However, Taki faints in the process. It is all up to Ursa. Milk Tank drinks some milk and heals up as Ursa goes for Fury Swipes. It only hits 3 times, allowing Milk Tank to live. Milk Tank misses its rollout and we go for another Fury Swipes. But it only hits twice. Letting Milk Tank barely live. Milk Tank heals up again by sucking on its teat. As we attack again, but this time with Cut, we are able to take down Milk Tank and defeat Whitney. When Whitney beat, she gives us the badge. Why are you crying? I want my badge. Stop preventing me from beating the game with my favorite Pokemon. After convincing her to stop crying, she gives us the badge and we move on. We head to the house of the girl we spoke to earlier about the weird tree, and we are given a squirt bottle. You all know what we need to do. We spray the tree and it attacks us out of nowhere. We narrowly escape the onslaught of this Pokemon and it flees into the forest. I hope we don't have to see that thing again either. With the weird tree out of the way, we can finally enter GlitchxCity. We stop by the Pokemon Center and heal up when we run into someone named Bill. Yes, the same Bill who created the Pokebox system. Who would have thought both our protagonists would have met him? Small world. We follow him back to his house, and it is time to secure the next Pokemon who will be joining us on our adventure. Upon speaking to Bill, he offers us an Eevee, and we gratefully accept. The reason we wanted this Eevee was because it is time to add my all-time favorite Pokemon to the team. If you've been around for a while, then you know who this is. And if you're brand new, my favorite Pokemon of all time is Umbreon. I absolutely love Umbreon. And if I remember, I'll have footage of all my Umbreon-related items that I have. Now, remember earlier when I said, so I came up with 2 possible solutions. But I will explain those a little bit later when they come up. I had mentioned that I had 2 options that I came up with to now fill the now empty slot on my team. One of them was to hatch the Togepi egg, because I quite like the little guy. And I did get the egg after I beat Faulkner, therefore it would fall within the challenge. But the other option involved obtaining this Eevee. Eagle-eyed viewers will have noticed that the Eevee I got from Bill was female. That means if I catch a Pokemon that is compatible with Eevee, I can breed it, get an egg, and hatch a second Eevee. But for who, you may ask? Well, the other evolution introduced in this generation. That's right, we're using both Umbreon and Espeon. So welcome to the team Asvel the Umbreon and Seth the Espeon. Now, since we spent some time increasing the happiness of both of our Eevees so we could evolve them into Umbreon and Espeon, we also increased Zubat's happiness. So in this time, Zubat evolved into Golbat, and then Golbat evolved into Crobat. With our team rounded out for now, we go ahead and challenge the next gym. This time, it is the Ghost-type gym leader, Morty. And he shouldn't really give us too many issues. You may think that with Asvel and Seth, this gym should be a cakewalk, but it actually isn't those two who do the trick. As of right now, they only have normal moves, so they can't really touch Morty and his ghost types. So the battle starts. Ursa leads our team off as Morty sends in his Ghastly. Ursa licks the Ghastly, paralyzing it fully, and with a feint attack, Ghastly goes down. Morty sends in Haunter. We stay in, attempting to get a feint attack off while Haunter goes first. Thanks to Haunter lowering its HP, we take out Haunter with our attack. Morty sends in his Gengar. Gengar goes for Hypnosis, but thankfully, it misses. We feint attack again, doing decent damage. However, the curse from Haunter lingers, and we lose a sizable chunk of HP. Gengar mean looks us, so we can't leave anymore. Ursa licks the Gengar, hoping for a Paralyze, but it doesn't work. The curse continues. Gengar finally hits a Hypnosis, and that seals our fate, or does it? The Mint Berry we put on Ursa activates, allowing us to awaken and hit Gengar with a feint attack. But Gengar lives with just a sliver of HP, and Curse brings us dangerously low. Gengar hits another Hypnosis. This time, our fate is truly sealed. Gengar eats our dreams, and our sweet, sweet Ursa takes a long, long nap. It is now time for Taki to avenge Ursa. Taki outspeeds Gengar and bites him, avenging Ursa. All that is left is one final Haunter, and a couple of bites is all that is needed to defeat Morty. With Morty's badge obtained, we can now use Surf. But we still need to get Surf. So we head over to the Kimono Girls, defeating them all in single combat, and we are rewarded with HM for Surf. But how are we going to use Surf? None of my current Pokemon can learn it. It's not like I can get another Eevee egg, get a Water Stone from this random fisherman, hatch an egg, and evolve Eevee into Vaporeon, can I? With a way to Surf, we head over to Mahogany Town, because we have heard whispers of a strong Gyarados rampaging. Perhaps this is future from our previous episode. So we beeline up to the Lake of Rage, only to find that it's just some random red Gyarados. We get rid of it and pick up a red scale that it left behind. Upon coming ashore, we run into a trainer named Lance, who asks us to help him get rid of a secret cell of Team Rocket located in the nearby town. Now, I am still mad at them from preventing me from getting my favorite Pokemon all the way back in Azalea Town, so we happily agree. We dispatch the entirety of Team Rocket in this area and blow up their generator to prevent them from being able to use it. During the raid on Team Rocket, Ursa evolved into Ursaring. With Team Rocket kicked out of town, we can also challenge the gym that is located here. The Ice Gym Leader, Price. This fight will be a little difficult because we don't really have anything that does super effective damage to Ice. And Ice is actually good against two of our Pokemon, Taki and Rita. But we have no choice but to power through it. Ursa leads off the fight, battling against Seal. A Cut and Fire Punch do the trick. Price then sends in Dugong and Ursa holds strong, using Cut a few times to weaken Dugong. Meantime, Dugong has been using Aurora Beam, which does sizable damage. Thinking Fire Punch had enough damage to knock out Dugong, we go for it, which allows it to barely live, burning it in the process. Even though Dugong does end up fainting this turn, it gets off one more Aurora Beam. Piloswine is Price's last Pokemon. We keep Ursa in and let her rest. We will now awaken in 2 turns. Our first turn of sleep, Piloswine misses Blizzard, and on our second turn, he misses again. Piloswine switches to Fury Attack, dealing little damage to us. We wake up and hit him with a Fire Punch, dealing about half its health and damage. Thinking Cut will do more damage, we use that. But it does negligible damage, which allows Piloswine to hit Blizzard, bringing us low. We use Fire Punch again, critting for the win. Price is down. That brings our badge count to 5. Now isn't the time to slow down, so we find ourselves all the way in Cyanwood, getting ready to take on Chuck, the fighting-type gym leader. Chuck leads off with his trusted Primate, as we lead off with Taki. Now, this isn't much of a fight, as a single wing attack takes him down. Chuck sends in Poliwrath, but again, we use a wing attack for sizable damage. Unfortunately, we get put to sleep in the process. We swap to Rita, getting tickled by a Surf, and we Razor Leaf for the KO and win. This was a quick fight, very unbefitting for badge number 6. But that's 6 badges down and 2 to go. We pick up Fly from Chuck's wife outside and fly back to Olivine City. Jasmine's gym is up next, but she isn't there. We find her atop the lighthouse, and she asks us to procure some special medicine for ImCrosses. We ask the location of said special medicine, only to be informed that it is in Cyanwood City, the place we just came from. So, we go back to Cyanwood City, pick up the medicine, give it to Jasmine, who gives it to ImCrosses, and thus it is now time to battle Jasmine and her steel types. Jasmine leads off with Magnemite, as we lead off with our newly evolved Rita. Oh, yeah, while we were grabbing the medicine, Rita evolved into Meganium. We attack Magnemite with Razor Leaf, as Rita gets hit with a Thunder Wave, paralyzing us. Magnemite immediately uses Supersonic, confusing us. We somehow break through the deadly combo of Parafusion, and strike back with another Razor Leaf. And thanks to a lucky crit, we knock out Magnemite. Steelix is brought in and hits us with a heavy Iron Tail. We luckily break out of confusion and hit a Razor Leaf. Steelix misses his next Iron Tail, but we, in turn, miss our Razor Leaf. Steelix hits another Iron Tail as we use Synthesis. However, due to it being nighttime during this fight, it doesn't heal as much as I needed to. We are rocked by another Iron Tail as we counter with a Razor Leaf. It isn't quite enough, but it does put Steelix in the range for Jasmine to use a Hyper Potion. Thus, we get a free attack off, and we are blessed with a crit. Steelix misses yet another Iron Tail, and we are finally able to knock it out with one final Razor Leaf. Jasmine is now down to her last Pokemon, another Magnemite. Rita has done enough, so we swap her out for Ursa, and Ursa uses Fire Punch on the Magnemite, knocking it out. And with that, we secure the victory. 7 badges down. You only have 1 badge left to get, and you still have an empty space on your team. Who can you possibly be adding to your team? And to you, I say be patient. We will get to it. After leaving Jasmine's gym, we are informed that Team Rocket has taken over the radio tower in Goldenrod City. These bastards just keep getting in my way. It is time to shut them down once and for all. We head over to the radio tower and proceed to strategically dismantle the entire Team Rocket operation, leaving no one untouched. We quickly save the radio tower director and are able to proceed on to catch our final teammate. My final favorite Pokemon I will be adding to this team is Suicune. During my journey, I have been doing everything I need to get to this moment. We awoke the beast in the burned tower, we made our way to Cyanwood City and met up with Suicune there, and finally, with Team Rocket defeated, we are allowed access to... Get out of my way. I've spent the entire video leading up to this, and alright, fine. Fine, I will just beat you guys down to prove that I am worthy of my final favorite Pokemon. With the 3 sages defeated, it is now time for Suicune to become a part of our team. This took 3 attempts with over 160 Pokeballs thrown, but finally, after almost 2 hours of attempts, we add Aqua the Suicune to our team. With only 1 gym left, we head through the Ice Path and into Blackthorn City. We immediately challenge Claire and her Dragon-type Pokemon, easily beating them down with our newly acquired Aqua, right? Well, Claire starts the fight off with Dragonair, as we lead off with Suicune. Icy Wind does a good amount of damage to Claire's Pokemon, but she paralyzes us. Our easy win condition has now just been crippled. Dragonair uses Dragon Breath, and we are fully paralyzed. This happens 3 turns in a row. Finally, we are able to attack again and take out Dragonair with 1 more Icy Wind. Claire uses another Dragonair. Are there no other Dragon types that she can use? Wait, what do you mean? There were only 4 Dragon-type Pokemon at this time? 3 of them being a part of the same family? Interesting. The second Dragonair hits us with a Thunderbolt, hurting Aqua. However, Aqua answers with an Icy Wind. After some quick calculations, I realize that if I'm not paralyzed, I will survive another Thunderbolt and KO the Dragon with 1 final Icy Wind. And the gamble pays off. Aqua takes down another Pokemon. But she is low on health and it isn't looking good for her. Claire sends in her 3rd Dragonair? Come on! It is time for us to swap Aqua out, bringing in our boy Seth. Seth uses Psybeam, dealing a good chunk of damage as we get paralyzed again. Cheap tricks can only get you so far. I would know. I've used them. Thankfully, we don't get paralyzed, and after being hit with a Slam attack, we knock out Dragonair with 1 more Psybeam. Claire has a single Pokemon left, her ace, Kingdra. With Seth paralyzed, we swap him out for Asvel. Claire likes to use cheap tricks. Let's show her that we wrote that playbook. Asvel uses Sand Attack, lowering Kingdra's accuracy. Claire had similar plans and uses Smokescreen, lowering our accuracy. No matter, I Sand Attack again, and Kingdra misses her Smokescreen. We go back and forth for about 3 turns, missing every single attack. Finally, I get one more Sand Attack off. Figuring she has had enough of cheap tricks, I swap over to Feint Attack, a move that never misses. You always need counterplay to these cheap tricks, that's something I've learned. However, a Dragon Breath lands and you'll never guess what happened. Yep, paralyzed again! After a few more Feint Attacks on our end and Claire missing almost the rest of her moves, we come out victorious. We seem to have run into another issue though. Although we beat Claire, she refuses to give us the final badge, preventing me from beating the game with my favorite Pokemon. I calm down a bit, as all I need to do is talk to some elders, and to her bewilderment, we pass her test and are finally given the last badge. All that is left is the Elite Four and the champion. We quickly make our way through Victory Road, and we are now faced with our final challenge. We start our first Elite Four fight against Will, the Psychic-type Elite Four member. Will starts off the fight with Xatu, and we find ourselves using Asvel. Xatu knows it is no match for us and goes for a quick attack. Our Feint Attack deals massive damage, causing Will to use a max potion. We quick attack and then Feint Attack, knocking Xatu out. Executor comes in. Asvel stays in and goes for Feint Attack again, dealing a ton of damage. We get leech seated but take him out with another attack. Jinx is up next. We stay in and attack, nearly one-shotting Jinx. The following attack does the job. Slowbro is Will's last Pokemon, and it looks like Asvel is going to get the clean sweep. We attack, but Slowbro is rather tanky. And it doesn't help that he raises his special defense thanks to Amnesia. We continue our onslaught as Leech Seed drains our life. Thankfully, Slowbro doesn't attack and curses. Another Feint Attack leaves Slowbro with almost no HP, and we get Body Slam. And paralyzed again! Asvel has come this far, so she stays in, living one more Body Slam and 1v5ing the first Elite Four member. With that close fight out of the way, we move on to the next Elite Four member, Koga, the Poison-type Elite Four member. Koga uses Ariados first, as we use Seth. A single attack is all that is needed to knock Ariados out. Koga sends in Fortress, which walls Seth, so we swap into Ursa and use Fire Punch, quickly ending his time in this fight. Koga sends in Venomoth and we bring Seth back in. Again, a single attack is all that is needed. Muck tries his best, but again, one attack takes him out too. Koga tries his best with his last Pokemon, Crobat, and again, Seth is unstoppable, one-shotting it. Koga has been checked off our list. The third Elite Four member is none other than Bruno, the fighting-type member. Seth leads off the fight again against Hitmontop, and this fight seems like it will be a repeat of Koga's fight. Hitmontop goes down first as Onix is brought in. We swap into Rita to take Onix out, and then Seth comes back in to one-shot Hitmonchan, Machamp, and Hitmonlee. This wasn't much of a fight. On to the final Elite Four member, Karen, the Dark-type Elite Four member. She leads off with Umbreon, so we do the same. It is time to prove that Asvel is the best Umbreon. This 1v1 takes quite a while, but after some back and forth feint attacks, it is proven that Asvel is in fact the superior Umbreon. Asvel has done her job, so as Karen brings in Vileplume, we go ahead and bring in Ursa. Ursa uses Strength, doing over half of her health. We get paralyzed again, but at this point I am not even surprised. Vileplume heals up with Moonlight, and we use Strength. Strength is doing more damage than Vileplume can heal. So after a few more turns of Vileplume using Moonlight and Ursa using Strength, we come out on top. Karen sends in Gengar, and we again bring in Asvel. Gengar uses Curse, and thanks to that, one feint attack knocks Gengar out. Murkrow comes in, and we go ahead and send Tacky in. Wing Attack does a lot of damage as Murkrow uses Feint Attack, which does hurt, but another Feint Attack takes Murkrow out. Karen is now down to her last Pokemon, Houndoom. So, Aqua takes the stage, and Surf ends this fight once and for all. Only the champion stands in our way, and is none other than Lance. He uses mainly Dragon types. Lance leads off with Gyarados, as we use Rita. A misclick has us using Poison Powder, and Gyarados sets up the rain. We Razor Leaf, doing okay damage as Surf tickles us in return. We Body Slam, which does good damage, and again, Surf tickles us. One more Body Slam ends this fight, but Lance brings in Dragonite. We go ahead and swap to Aqua, who uses Aurora Beam. This almost kills, but due to Aqua being underleveled, it allows the Dragonite to live. Another paralysis. I guess it won't be so easy. We get Hyper Beam doing a chunk of damage as another Aurora Beam finishes the Dragonite off. Yet another Dragonite comes in, so we swap to Asvel. We confuse the Dragonite who hurts himself, so we start attacking. Dragonite attempts to Thunder Wave us, but it misses. And since he broke out of confusion, we confuse him again. But this time, the Thunder Wave hits us, paralyzing us. This is followed immediately with a Thunder. We feint attack, and this fight is looking super close. A Hyper Beam is used, and we are brought below half. We try to attack, but we get fully paralyzed. We click Quick Attack, but it isn't enough for the kill. This isn't looking good. Dragonite breaks free from confusion and uses another Hyper Beam. Asvel thankfully lives with 12 HP, and one more attack is all that is needed to finish off Dragonite. Asvel has earned some well-deserved rest, and Lance brings in Aerodactyl. We bring in Ursa. Ursa gets hit with Ancient Power as we go ahead and use Strength. Another Ancient Power comes our way, and it crits. Ursa tries to fight back using Strength, but Aerodactyl uses Hyper Beam, ending Ursa's chance to fight in this battle. Rita comes in to avenge one of her oldest friends. Thanks to Aerodactyl needing to recharge, a Razor Leaf ends him off. A Charizard is brought in, so we go ahead and send in one of our healthy Pokemon, Seth. We use Psychic, as Charizard uses Flamethrower. However, our Psychic ends up being stronger as it comes out on top. All that is left is one final Dragonite. Taki decides to take him on. We confuse Dragonite and he hurts himself in confusion. We fly up in the air as Dragonite continues to hurt himself. Fly does a good amount of damage, but Dragonite uses Safeguard. Forgetting what it does, I try and confuse him again, but it doesn't work. Hyper Beam comes straight for us, stealing over 66% of our health. We Wing Attack, while Lance uses a full restore, just when I thought we were out of this. Dragonite uses Outrage, and it takes Taki out. All I have left are low health Pokemon and paralyzed Pokemon. I sent in Aqua, hoping she would be enough. Another Outrage, and we live, but we get fully paralyzed. It seems our only saving grace is the fact that Dragonite confused itself because of Outrage. Hoping he hits himself in confusion, we go for an attack. The Dragonite is able to use Hyper Beam. Aqua has fainted. Seth, Asvel, and Rita. Those are the only three I have left. After some contemplation, we send in Seth. We use Psychic, and thankfully it crits, taking down the final boss of this run. With Lance defeated, we have become the brand new champion and completed my challenge of beating Pokemon Crystal using only my favorite Pokemon. Mom, what are all of these Pokédolls? What did you spend my money on? If you're still here, I just want to thank you all so much for watching this video. This video has taken about 50 hours of work to make over recording and editing the video. So if you did enjoy the video, I would ask that you do consider liking it and subscribing if you want to see more videos like this in the future. Oh, and before I go, I forgot one more thing. The rat that I used to help get Seth gained 23 levels. Okay, bye!